All right. Good morning. It is 10:33 p.m. By the time this posts, it might end up being somewhere in the morning. You know, YouTube loves to take forever. I'm gonna be really quick this week. I'm not really gonna talk about last week at all, except for when it naturally comes up when I talk about next week's games. I'm gonna do the same thing I've been doing. I'm gonna talk about the games, some players I like and don't like for those games. And also, if anybody is interested in why I choose the games in what order, if you Google NFL and then the week, I just read it straight down from whatever Google says. All right, there's no special reason why I'll talk about 1 p.m. game over another. Let's get cracking. Cracked open a little brewski for this. A little Guinness, a little Guinea boy. Very light in the alcohol. It's not going to be affecting me late podcast. This one should only be like 25 minutes. You know, the NFL's finally come back to normality a little bit. We don't have teams who are supposed to lose by 8+ points according to the spreads winning outright. That happened in 4 of the last 5 games where a team was supposed to lose by 8 or more. And last week we got a return to normality outside of the Ravens, but I think that was just a runoff from the week before, you know. All right, let's get right into it. Tomorrow night, Thursday night football. We got Patriots at Falcons. Patriots are going to win. For fantasy purposes, play whatever running back is starting. It seems like whoever's starting just magically gets 15 fantasy points a week. It's going to be back to Damian Harris this week, which is good news for the Harris fantasy investors like me. Saw him in the 10th round and said, yeah, he'll hit it over 144 projected points. We told ESPN to relax, and we were right. Still, no Patriots wide receivers are worth seriously considering in fantasy because Mac Jones runs the offense exactly like Tom Brady. And they don't have a wide receiver 1, so the ball just gets thrown 30 times to 7 different guys. And if you want to bet that one of those 7 guys happens to catch it 5 times, feel free. I don't feel comfortable doing that. Mac Jones is a fantasy must-play against any defense, which isn't great until further notice. Mac Jones has been playing great football, great complementary football because they've been running 2 touchdowns a week, and he's still getting his two touchdowns, 300 yards. There was a point last week where he was throwing like a 95% completion percentage. It was kind of nuts through the third quarter. For the Falcons, losing Cordarrelle Patterson, okay, he might play. He's a game time. I'm assuming he's not going to play. Mike Davis has been the worst investment they've made in a long time. At least they got tread out of Todd Gurley. They're getting nothing out of Mike Davis. I'm a Giants fan, so trust me when I say this. Wayne Gallman, if you need a flex running back, you're doing a daily fantasy lineup, Wayne Gallman seems to be the beneficiary from Cordarrelle being out. And on top of that, if Cordarrelle's out 2 or 3 weeks, after this week, people will know that, right? This is some buy-in early risk. But let's look at some other things people buy in early and risk, right? Shiba Inu coin up 57 million% since it opened. So just buy in, dabble a little bit, sprinkle Wayne Gallman into your flex slot, pray for the touchdown. He's good for 15 touches. But I like the Patriots to win. I don't know what the spread is. I'm tired of even talking about spreads. Just Patriots win. Ravens and Bears, the Ravens will be back. The Bears, Justin Fields did just throw the ball really well against the Steelers, but I don't expect that to last. Let's look at what Justin Fields has done so far this season. He now has 2 games over 200 passing yards, and one of which was right at 202, I believe. Ravens win, it's a no-brainer. Their running back situation is a little murky, right? Marquise Brown has somehow, some way become an actual wide receiver 1. I think it's just because Lamar throws the ball more, right? He went from throwing 220 yards per game on average in the last 2 seasons combined, right? And it was about the same both seasons, so throwing 270 a game, and Marquise Brown seems to be the main beneficiary. You know, they got Sammy Watkins around, but he really just, he doesn't do much. Bateman has been coming up big. I believe in Rashad Bateman. I think Bateman will do better as time goes on. But I don't think the Ravens have a running back worth touching this week because with Lat Murray being back, I don't know if they're going to run Murray more. I don't know if they're going to throw the ball to Freeman more or run the ball with Freeman as much because Freeman's put together a few good weeks. They cut Le'Veon Bell, so that experiment's over. I don't know with the running backs, honestly. Lamar is going to end up running for more yards than whoever their best running back ends up being anyways. So I would just fade them. Obviously, you fade everybody on the Bears on offense except for the man, David Montgomery. There's room for Khalil Herbert to be the second best fantasy play from the Bears, but not even worth flex consideration when DeMont's back. DeMont commands that offense. Packers, Vikings, Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't give a crap, was thinking about retiring, had a terrible week 1. Looks like he steals carburetors and breaks into old factories to steal copper pipes. I don't get the hair. I love the dude though. I love his don't give a crap attitude. And it's been working for him. They're 8-2, the best team in the NFC right now. So yeah, Packers will win. This isn't some sort of division trap game. The Vikings aren't good enough. The Vikings can't get enough pressure on the ball, and the Vikings don't have enough guys deep. I don't think that this game is going to be far from the usual for Green Bay. We know Aaron Jones isn't playing, so that naturally means A.J. Dillon's going to run the ball 20 times and do almost exactly what Aaron Jones does. He doesn't catch the ball as well, but he moves just as well. For the Vikings, I bet this is going to be a game where Adam Thielen might flirt with 2 touchdowns. I bet he'll get one early. Because they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on Justin Jefferson. They're going to put the pressure on Kirk Cousins to throw the ball like that. Colts and Bills. The Bills bounced back big last week, but it was against the Jets, and they got the ball 4 times for free from the legendary Mike White. Too bad that situation's over. That was the best era ever. Week 8 in the NFL, nobody should ever forget that Mike White threw 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and beat the Bengals. But we're back to reality, snap back. You got Carson Wentz playing against the arguably best defense in football, a defense that will capitalize on every single mistake you make. And Carson Wentz likes to make 2 or 3 potentially game-altering mistakes a game. So I'm going to rock with the Bills because of their defense, not their offense. Their offense has given me heart attacks the last few weeks. But I think that they can get stuff back on track. I would love for the Bills to just stop this Zach Moss and Devin Singletary nonsense, right? Just go after a couple old running backs who have like half a year left in the tank. Todd Gurley's not even old. His left knee's just old. If I were them, I would look into Todd Gurley in a heartbeat. But that's just me. I'm not the Bills. The Bills are currently in danger of losing the division to freaking Mac Jones. So that's where the Bills are at right now. But they're still a great football team, don't get it wrong. They're going to beat the Colts at home. Browns and Lions, the way the Browns have played the last couple weeks, I would love to flirt with saying the Lions win. Every week I'm going to flirt with saying the Lions win. It doesn't matter who the Browns have at running back. The Browns could run Case Keenum at running back against the Lions. He's going to get 100 yards, okay? This is not a friendly game for the Lions at all. So, hanging with the Browns. TJ Hawkinson shouldn't have 0 catches this week. I don't know what the hell that was about. The Steelers' defense is good. The Steelers' defense, when you only have 2 good offensive players, can isolate at least one. They didn't do anything to stop DeAndre Swift. He ran 130, but look for Hawkinson to come back to the fantasy tight end 4 spot. He still holds, despite putting up a nothing burger. I like Jarvis Landry as a play this week, even though Baker gets hurt every single week. It's actually impressive. Baker Mayfield's getting hurt, really emotionally involved teenager trying to get in relationships. It's just kind of, it's not, this whole playing football thing and getting hit part of it specifically isn't really working out for him this year like it has in years past. So, but I would still hang on to Jarvis Landry. I think that last week was just a crapshoot for them. They need to get their running backs back, okay? Once they get Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt back, this team's going to be back to the team which can hold the ball for 35 minutes and screw you over, and the defense won't be tired. Luckily, the Lions don't do anything at all special, which would stop the Browns, except for run the ball, but this isn't 1970. Just because you have a great running back doesn't mean you can win when you have literally nothing else. All right, Washington and Panthers. I really like the Panthers at home with Cam Newton starting his first game back against Ron Rivera. I like the Panthers to blow Washington out of the water. McCaffrey's back too, which is really low key. I feel like nobody appreciated that. I didn't hear anything about McCaffrey being back, which is funny because he had a great game, but whatever. Whatever, it's okay. Sleep on Christian because he only plays 4 games a year. He is going to single-handedly beat Washington himself. I like Antonio Gibson coming back. It looks like his shin injury is like fully behind him. Man, playing with shin splints sucks. I don't know what kind of shin splint he had, whether it was like the muscle soreness or the shin fracture. I think they specified he had a shin fracture, but he looked sharper last week despite playing against a really tough run defense. So, not that the Panthers defense is like better than the Bucs defense, but against the run, it's a little easier to move. So, I like Antonio Gibson. Always like Terry McLaurin. I would like Terry McLaurin if like Ray Charles was the quarterback, somebody who just outlandishly wouldn't be able to accurately throw a football. I would still like Terry McLaurin. He just makes plays. All right, Texans and Titans. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say for this. So next game, 49ers and Jaguars. All right, I have a little more to say about this. Until Trevor Lawrence starts playing like he did at Clemson, and I know it's hard, okay? Playing for Jacksonville under a new NFL head coach who had never coached in the NFL before, it's got to be rough, especially with a team like that, which is just so devoid of talent. Their wide receivers don't do anything. Their best wide receiver is washed in 33, Marvin Jones. James Robinson's a good running back, and in fact, actually, there was some metric which showed James Robinson actually has the highest running back rating in the NFL. That considers like it's one of those weird advanced stats. It considers everything. It considers how many broken tackles do they have, how many yards do they move after getting hit behind the line, how many open holes do they have on the offensive line, what percentage of time do they get through the open holes when they have them. So the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive line is so bad that it's hindering us from getting to experience one of the best running backs in the league. And Jacksonville doubled down on that by drafting Etienne. So next year when their offensive line is better, we're not going to get to see James Robinson. I really hope they trade that dude. Like, James Robinson would be so worth trading for because his contract is pennies. All right, you're paying him nothing. I know the running back position is so hard to justify paying, but when a guy plays as well as he has and he costs nothing for you to go get him, like, blows my mind. Same thing with Gardner Minshew, but blows my mind. 49ers are going to win this game by a margin. George Kittle's back. All right, George Kittle's back. It's kind of funny, even though Deebo was so good, even though their running back carousel's so good, they couldn't consistently score and move the ball without George Kittle. And now with George Kittle back, you got like Ayuk getting more open looks too. And Ayuk, by all means, metrics and any way you measure football so far has been a bust, considering where they drafted him and how he's been. But just by having George Kittle back, if he stays on the field, I think the 49ers will beat any team who they play. I firmly believe that. They're not my Super Bowl favorite because he won't stay healthy. Or Jimmy Garoppolo won't stay healthy, and then you got to deal with the Trey Lance ups and downs. He'll eventually be great, though, Trey Lance. All right, for crap show game of the week, Dolphins and Jets. And anybody in the New York area on CBS, this is the game we're going to be forced to watch. I don't know what other game we could watch, but let me tell you, we're going to be forced to watch this crap show. Miami's going to win because Tua is good and he's getting better. I don't think he's great, but he's good. Let's not lie to ourselves. Tua won't lose games. Mr. Tua can't throw a football. They gave him a lot of weapons. His offensive line is porous, but it's not like the Jets are going to do anything about it. And they are playing against Joe Flacco. Remember the video of Joe Flacco getting rocked by Kiko Alonso? Horrible illegal play. I think Jalen Phillips might be able to... Is that his name? The guy who they drafted, a defensive end from Miami? Anyways, somebody on that defensive line is going to get to Flacco, and he's going to get freaking rocked because the Jets' offensive line is just as bad as the Dolphins. So I'll go Dolphins. Michael Carter has been a shock this year with how good he's been for the Jets. Obviously, it's largely volume, but hey, when the volume's there, you take it. Roll with Michael Carter. Myles Gaskin should have his bounce-back game. Myles Gaskin's running back 22. but he only has 2 games above 15 points, and one of them was 33, which is exactly why he's ranked so high. Because really, without that game, he's like running back 50. But he's got a role in this offense. He has a stable role in the offense, and this is a team to do well against. Saints and Eagles. Is Trevor Siemian still starting? I believe he is. If that's the case, Eagles. But if Taysom Hill plays, I think that the Saints have a chance, even though the Eagles did beat them last year. And Jalen Hurts, sadly, and I don't think it's fair, even though I don't think he's a good quarterback now, he could become one, and he's not the biggest problem on the team. Sadly, Jalen Hurts is on the chopping block. And I say that not because there's been reports being like, oh, yeah, well, they're looking to replace Jalen Hurts. Look at how many scouts the Eagles are sending to all these different college games with quarterbacks who are projected to be first-round guys. Different scouts going around to see different games with quarterbacks who might be on the move. They are looking at all their possible options to move off of Jalen Hurts. But I'm going to go with the Eagles to win. Bengals and Raiders. I'm going against the Raiders until further notice, even though they're a better football team than the Bengals right now. And that's not to say the Bengals are a bad team. But until the Raiders win again, you can't ever bet that they're going to win. All right? All the controversy that's happened with Gruden and Henry Ruggs and the corner, who I don't even know the name of, but he wasn't exactly relevant anyways, and then he committed an act of domestic violence, and now he's gone, right? There's so much hyperbole around that team. It's like, what's going on in that locker room? Because it doesn't seem to be football. The Giants should not have beat them last week, even though Xavier McKinney played a great game 2 weeks ago, not last week. I'm not not betting on the Raiders till further notice. I'm betting on the Bengals. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Cowboys and Chiefs. Chiefs at home. The Cowboys are 8-1 against the spread this year because they are a great football team. The Cowboys are a great football team despite having the second most amount of money on the injury reserve of any of the entire NFL. All right, so without a few of their best players, they're still amongst the best teams in the league. Now, the Chiefs would love to win this game, especially with what they just did to Vegas. But again, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it until I see it again. I'm sticking with Dallas. Dallas has been doing some good stuff, some great stuff. Let's not undermine them. I know it's easy to make fun of Dallas because we still them boys, but now they might actually be them boys this year. We'll see. Well, this game will give us some more light. Cardinals and Seahawks. God, they need Kyler back, dude. You can't have Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy is good for his one-spot start win of the year, and he already did it, and then last week he crapped himself. I mean, that was predictable. I'm willing to bet if I go back to the podcast I posted last week, I was all for the Cardinals. But I am now going to pretend that I never said that, and that I knew they were going to lose the whole time. It's Colt McCoy, man. I'm rocking with the Cardinals if Kyler plays. If Colt McCoy plays, I'm rocking with the Seahawks. If Kyler plays, though, it should be a close game, right? Russell Wilson had his one dog crap game back from not playing, the finger injury. I think that's behind him. I think everybody ends up having one of those games, and a guy like Russell Wilson, the way he approaches football. I mean, I love Russell Wilson. Controversial thought. I think he's a top 10 quarterback of all time. So I'm not going to bet against him coming off a game like that. You know, the best players don't lose those games coming back from a bad game. But if Kyler plays, I'm going the Cardinals by, by a fingernail. All right, Steelers and Chargers. God doesn't like us, and the concept of a virtuous, pious God is clearly foolish because this is our Sunday Night Football game. I would now like to apologize to God and my fellow Christians for that statement I made. It was a joke. But let's be real. Let's dive into this. The Chargers have been falling off a cliff the last few weeks. The Steelers, without Ben, and they might not have Ben because apparently... Okay, I was going to say something really bad. Never mind. But if Mason Rudolph plays, I mean, easily the Chargers win. The Chargers are also at home. The Chargers have had some inconsistencies with their offensive line. You're going to when you add 4 starters, and the Steelers' defense is not the team to imagine that you're going to magically fix those issues against. However, if Mason Rudolph plays, the Chargers defense will get the ball like 3 times. And let's also consider that the Chargers have been losing without some of their guys due to injury and COVID, like Joey Bosa. You're not going to win those games. Mike Williams fell back to earth tragically. Like, Mike Williams fell back to earth like a space shuttle with no landing pad. Like, just crashed, burned. It's sad to see, but we're back to reality now. And in this reality, the Chargers are only a good football team right now. But the Chargers will beat the Steelers, regardless of who plays. Last, our Monday Night Special, Giants and Bucks. Bucks at home, Giants by 50. Yeah, I mean, Bucks will win. Is there really much more to say? Bucks will win. Saquon will be back. That gives me hope that it won't be a crap show. But the Bucks will win. I didn't give any fantasy picks for half of these games. Oh, gosh. All right, I'll go back through. Saints and Eagles, nobody. Bengals and Raiders, everybody who you would expect, plus Hunter Renfrow. Right? So your Jamar Chase, your Joe Mixon, your Josh Jacobs, your Darren Waller. Throw Hunter Renfrow into that mix. Cowboys, Chiefs, I have a feeling this will be a good Michael Gallup week. And the amount of focus and attention you have to put on CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, I just have a feeling Michael Gallup might be a beneficiary from moving in between. That's if Jedrick Wilson doesn't steal some more time, which he loves to do. For the Chiefs, I believe Clyde is going to be back this week, but I still like Darrell Williams this week. Like, look at the tear he went on last week. I don't think Clyde just steps right back in that role, especially because Clyde wasn't exactly playing great before he got hurt. So I like running Darrell Williams. Seahawks, Cardinals. Chris Carson should actually be back. Must start if he's back in because Alex Collins single-handedly fumbled the bag that he was handed. Like, Alex Collins was really just handed the offense when Chris Carson was still there, and he fumbled it. And I think the Seahawks did that just because they know Chris Carson's injury prone. But at this point in the season, they need to win out, or at the very least, they can only give up one more game. So you can bet Chris Carson's going to get a lot of tread as they try and push for the playoffs because they got a lot of issues if they don't make the playoffs. Like, those Russell Wilson rumors might end up being more true than everybody's been playing them down to be. Cardinals, again, there's nobody on their offense to trust except for now James Conner, right? Whoever the running back one is, and Kyler Murray. Steelers and Chargers. Oh, gosh. I like Chase Claypool. I always like Chase Claypool when he plays, right? Just because the boom potential for Claypool is ridiculous. He's such a great athlete. For the Chargers, I don't know. I'd also double down. I want to say Freiermuth is gonna have a good week. He had 9 targets last week. He didn't do great with them, right? He had 5 catches for like 40 yards. But the fact they're giving him that much volume, and it wasn't even Ben, it was Mason Rudolph. So I didn't watch the game. I'm just going to imagine that a couple of those not caught targets weren't his fault, and maybe that's a fair assumption, but whatever. For the Chargers, I would like Jared Cook against any other team than the Steelers this week. I'm not banking on a tight end against the Steelers. For the Giants and the Bucks, you could probably start their entire offense in fantasy and get a good showing out of them. You'll probably hit the projection average if you add all the projections up for all the players. The actual should be around there. For the Giants, I like Kenny Golladay. I like Kenny Golladay to finally have his week. You know, he got his reps in last week. Actually played. He had 3 targets, 3 catches, 20 yards. Very, very Giant stuff. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, not last week. They were on bye. But when your quarterback only throws the ball for 110 yards and you catch 30, it's an okay sign. Now let's say he has an average throwing night and throws 220. There's 6 catches and 60 yards, and that's 12 fantasy points in most conventional leagues, so I'm going to rock with that. And with that, I say goodnight. 25 minutes. That's what I wanted to do. Nice. Let's go. All right. Take care.